I'm Tracy with MeatRx. I'm here today with another success story with my friend Deidre, and we're going to find out all about what's been happening with her on her journey. Hi, Deidre.
Hi, Tracy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming. Can
Yeah.
can you begin by telling me what you were doing before you began a meat-based diet? You know, what were you eating, and what were your health conditions?
Okay. Well, I will say that growing up, I was always thin. I never had any weight issues at all. And then I had my third child at 37, and that kind of just, my hormones just went crazy. And so I tried a whole lot of different diets. Most of them were kind of leading to carnivore because I started out with paleo and then I moved, into keto. Keto did not work for me personally just because I don't have a gallbladder, for one. And two, just for some reason, I guess with the hormonal thing, it just didn't seem to help balance out those hormones. But so after I had my daughter, I gained a lot of weight. And from that point forward, I would diet and then I would get frustrated and then I would, start something else. And I just found myself feeling worse and worse and worse. And a lot of the autoimmune disorders that are prevalent in my family, I started noticing in myself. And so about 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with, it's not fun to say, but eosinophilic esophagitis. So basically, it's an allergic reaction within the esophagus that causes food to get trapped. So anytime I ate meat, that's what would happen. So I started thinking that it was the meat. So I kind of started cutting out meat a little bit more, which wasn't my favorite thing because I like meat. So I started cutting down the meat and eating more vegetables and things like that. But I started noticing that I was having a lot of constipation, a lot of gas, a lot of intestinal distress, things like that. And I thought, what is going on here? And so finally one day I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw somebody talking about the carnivore diet, and I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about it. And so I thought, you know what? I don't have anything to lose. But I waited about 4 months before I did anything. And, before that, I just a quick rundown. I think I actually made a list for myself so I could remember, but I had tinnitus, just constant, just a hum in my ears. It wasn't even a ringing. It was just like a hum. And, like I said, intestinal distress, gastric issues, just pain in my joints all the time. I thought it was my mattress. And I've since found out that it wasn't. Just pain all over all the time and brain fog, just depression, even depression, And so it was on June 17th, I left work sick. On that Saturday, that was a Wednesday, that Saturday, which was the 24th, I tested positive for COVID. And so I thought, you know what? And I didn't feel that bad. I had a really mild case, so I was very fortunate. But I thought, I'm just going to do this. I'm at home. There's nothing else for me to do. I can't go out to eat. I can't do anything else, so I'm just going to do this. And so I did. And, it's just completely changed my life, seriously. I don't have the brain fog anymore at all. And I feel really happy. I haven't felt that way in so long that I didn't even know what it was like anymore. You have like moments of happiness, but I'm just very content, and I don't wake up in the middle of the night anymore with anxiety, my heart pounding. I don't have that. It really has made just a huge difference in my quality of life. I just can't say enough.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Wow. So what was your hesitation, like the 4-month hesitation about? Was it just that you didn't want to go giving up the carbs kind of thing?
It wasn't that I didn't want to. It was that I was afraid of being extreme. Not for what people would think, but just, a lot of times you see the extreme, people go to the extremes just like, and I hesitate to make, the correlation, but with veganism and things like that, people go to the extreme and you miss out on nutrients and things like that. And so I was kind of hesitant because I also knew that with having an 11-year-old at home, she would have to do this with me to a certain extent. I can't just go make, 2 meals every day for every meal. So, I just wanted to make sure I did my research and that everything was going to be okay for both of us. And so that was most of my hesitation. And it's just hard when I work, I commute, I'm 45 minutes from home. So, a lot of times if I tend to be a little bit scatterbrained. So sometimes if I leave the house and don't bring a lunch, then I'm stuck eating out. And that's really, really hard on carnivore. You can't just, everything's fried, it's hard. It's really hard. So you have to really plan.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would hesitate because I didn't want to give up my carbs. Yeah, that was part of my.
I know. And it's funny because it was really hard at first. I missed a lot of things because I love to bake. And so I missed making cupcakes and, icing and all those things. But in the last 2 weeks, I've noticed that I don't have those cravings anymore, really at all. And I think that's when you know that you're doing something right because your body is balancing itself out. Because to me, I could be wrong because I'm not a scientist or anything or a nutritionist, but I think when you crave things, your body's telling you that you're missing something. Mm-hmm. And so I think when you're not craving, those things, you're doing something right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you saw somebody posting about carnivore, then how did you go about further investigating about the carnivore diet?
I tend to go down rabbit holes really quickly. So if I find something interesting, so I want to say that it was Rob Wolf because I follow him on Instagram, and I think he had mentioned something about it on his IG. And so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna look at this, And at first, I'm gonna be honest. At first, I was like, this is crazy. Like all you ever do is eat meat. How do you get all your nutrients? How do you, I don't understand how you do that. And so I read a lot of different people's viewpoints on it. And of course I went to MeatRx and I read all the FAQs and I looked at the success stories and, you didn't see anybody, of course there's success stories, but the only thing that I think was a drawback for me was with already having some gastro issues. I thought, you see everybody talk about how they have a really hard time at first, and that was another reason for the delay. I thought, okay, well, I'm at home, so if I have issues, I can just go to my bathroom, and not have to worry about it. So, I respect Rob. So, I think he's not an extremist. He tends to kind of, really research things. He's a scientist, so I like that. And so that's why I went ahead and went down the rabbit hole. And I thought, I'm gonna find out more about this. And I was really impressed with everything, just everyone, especially the autoimmune things, because we have a lot of autoimmune disorders in my family. We have people with lupus and diabetes, and my mom has psoriasis and Hashimoto's, and I thought I would rather be on the preventive end of that if I can than try to, treat it later.
Okay. All right. So how did you implement the diet? Did you just start out with eating hamburgers or steaks, or how did you start out? And did you have any issues?
I started out, I kind of knew I wanted to do it. So about a month before, I started phasing out carbs so that I didn't have as hard of a time, with the restroom issues. And so, so when I started, I did mostly like hamburger meat, hamburger patties, and then I would have a steak every once in a while. And I like lamb, so I would do lamb and things like that. I'm not a big organ meat person. I've tried it. I've really tried it. But yeah, so that's what I did. And I did like a typical breakfast, right? Bacon and eggs. And then the rest of the day, I would just pack myself like a, 4 or 5 ounce hamburger patty. And I make my own mayonnaise. So I just do that, and And that's pretty much what I do every day for the most part.
Yeah, that sounds good. So how's your daughter adapting? Does she enjoy the carnivore diet?
She does. Her favorite thing, and my dad makes it for her when she goes and spends the night with my parents sometimes, and she gets up and has ground beef with scrambled eggs and peas, and that's what she'll have for breakfast. So a lot of times, sometimes I'll do that for breakfast. She loves when I make omelets, so I'll do an omelet for her. Because I do like the French kind of like the French style omelet with nothing but eggs and butter, and so she loves that. And she likes meat, so it's easy. It really is easy.
Awesome. That's really
Yeah.
good to hear that she's enjoying it. So, have you had any discussions with other people, friends, or anything to influence them about it?
Well, yeah, you try, and people that are used to this, the standard American diet, they have a really hard time accepting that you don't have to have your vegetables. And I've talked to my mom about it because, like I said, she's, got autoimmune issues, and it's kind of funny because I was telling her about what I was doing, and she was seeing that I was, losing weight, and then I was feeling better. She didn't really say anything. And then the other day I texted her and I said, I just figured out that tomatoes make me feel bad. And I love tomatoes, but when you're just eating meat, it's real easy to discern when something makes you feel bad, when you're not feeling bad, and you eat it, and you do. So I texted her and I said, I just figured this out. She said, well, I was eating taco salads, either chicken or beef, since I've been eating them for lunch every day since July. My mom's one of those people, she can eat the same thing over and over and over and never get tired of it. And so I said, really? And she said, and I just figured out that I'm allergic to lettuce. And I said, I told you that it was not the meat. Because she said, this makes me feel bad and this makes me feel bad. And I said, I bet it's not the meat. I bet it's what you're eating with the meat.
Mm-hmm.
And so sure enough, she kind of, gave me a little concession there. So I'm working on it.
Okay, that sounds good. So did you, all of your difficulties that you had before, or have they all resolved, or is it
Pretty
still?
much.
Yeah.
Really pretty much. I don't ever, and this was the thing too that I thought about the esophagitis. I thought it was meat getting caught, because it was every time I ate meat, like if I ate roast or chicken and maybe it was just like a little bit dry or something, it would get caught in there, and so I thought it was meat. And I realized that it's not. So I don't have any problems with that now that I'm not, that I'm doing zero carb. I have no issues with that. So I think, and really everything, I can honestly say that 99% of the problems I was having are gone.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good. That's incredible.
It really is.
It is. And do you find that it's easy to grocery shop, easy to cook?
Oh, it's so easy, especially if you've done like paleo or keto, and you go to the store and you have your basket's like mounded up, and you spend $500 for 2 weeks worth of groceries. Yes, this is so much easier.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to really think. I mean, it's easy to me. It's easy to cook meat. Salt. If you have good meat, salt and pepper, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's so much easier. Yes.
Yes, definitely.
1,000 times yes.
I'm one that never liked counting, the carbs or the calories.
No, or macros. Oh, yeah, it's so much better. And I just eat until I'm sated, and then I don't eat again until I'm hungry, which ironically has been not nearly as often these last couple of weeks. And I guess I'm kind of moving into a different phase, but I'm not craving things, and so it's almost difficult for me to tell when I'm hungry now, but so sometimes I go ahead and make myself eat, and then I think I probably shouldn't have done that. But I do. It's kind of ingrained in us, to have 3 meals a day, and and so it's hard to get out of that.
Oh, okay. Do you do 3 meals a day? Is that how you do yours?
I don't. I usually do 2. when I was growing up and even into my early 20s and early 30s, I had never even ate breakfast. I basically fasted, which I didn't know what it's called then. I was intermittently fasting. But, you know, I would wake up and I would eat at lunchtime. I never ate breakfast. And so I started eating breakfast when I got pregnant with my third child, because I didn't have gestational diabetes, but I had some blood sugar issues. And so I've kind of gone back to that, where I just eat, you know, at lunch and at dinner. And a lot of times, because I eat really decently at lunch, I don't even have much of a dinner. It's more like a snack. So
That sounds
yeah.
great. So do you exercise, and what's a typical day of eating look like for you?
I'm not currently exercising, because I do like to research. I read something the other day, and they said that especially for women who are overweight, it's really kind of a good idea to wait to exercise until you get to a certain body fat percentage, because it can be stressful and kind of self-defeating. So I'm kind of trying that. We'll see how long it lasts, because I actually like working out. I like to lift. So and then yeah, and a typical day looks like, depending on if I am hungry when I wake up, I will sometimes have about 3 or 4 pieces of bacon, because it's easy, it travels, you know. And then for lunch, I'll have like a hamburger patty, like I said, with some homemade mayonnaise, or ground beef, you know, with spices in it or something like that. And then dinner's usually about the same, because a lot of times it's just me and my daughter, and she doesn't eat a whole lot. So I'll just cook everything the night before, and then I'll just split it up through the next day, you know. And so it's about the same. And I'll grab a couple of steaks when I go to the grocery store. And we have a place called Central Market here, and they have a really, really nice meat department. So I'll go there and and they have aged steaks. So I'll go there and get, like, you know, a couple of aged steaks and stuff. And so that's pretty much what we do. I get really tired of eggs pretty quickly, so I'll do those, you know, a couple of times, maybe on the weekends and stuff. But for the most part, during the week, I do beef or lamb. So.
Okay. Do you include any dairy, or like, oh, you said lamb, you like lamb? That's really good. And seafood?
Yeah.
How about any fish or seafood?
I do shrimp. There's a store down the street from where I work, and they do like a little shrimp platter, and it's just shrimp, you know, boiled shrimp with, you know, cocktail sauce. So I'll go get that for lunch a lot of times. And then, yeah, and then dairy, I do heavy whipped cream in my coffee in the mornings, because I do coffee, because I just don't want to give that up yet. And it doesn't, and I thought it was what was making me feel bad too, and it's not. So I'm not worried about it, unless it, you know, starts to become a problem. I'm going to keep drinking it. But yeah, so whipping cream in my coffee instead of milk, and sometimes some hard cheeses, like you know, like a white cheddar or something like that, and I'll do that.
Oh yeah, cool.
So
That sounds good. So what would you tell someone that was wanting to start out this diet? Should they hesitate? Should they prepare ahead of time? Or what's your recommendation?
my recommendation is to kind of ease into it like I did, because I feel like you have fewer side effects. You don't have because it really does mess with your electrolytes when you go from like, you know, a standard American diet to making your own food and not, you know, having a lot of salt and things like that. It can really mess your electrolytes up. So I would just suggest to kind of gradually ease into it, and then you maybe don't have as much, you know, gastro distress and bathroom trips, and especially if you work away from home, and just, you know, listen to your body. It's important to do that, because I don't think we do it enough. I think a lot of times, you know, people have a reason other than being healthy to do things, you know, to diet or to go a certain direction with how they want to eat. And but it's important to make sure that, you know, you listen to what your body's telling you, because it knows. And so you just have to learn how to interpret. And so, yeah, I would, and just learn to be prepared. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot of time when you're already cooking to maybe cook another couple of things so that you can just have them in the refrigerator to grab, you know, or something like that, because it does help. The times that I haven't had something with me, I've really regretted it because it's become hugely apparent that, you know, that the diet that I was eating before is horrible, you know, for my body. I ate the other day, I was really hungry on my way home, and I had stopped at my daughter's, and so I was running later than normal, and I stopped at Sonic and got a burger, and instead of like just taking everything off and just eating, you know, the meat out of it, I ate all of it. And I mean, 3 hours later, I was still really uncomfortable. So, you know, planning ahead is very important.
Yeah. Well, you look great. And
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Your story is really inspiring, and I think it'll help a lot of people.
I hope so. You know, I try to tell as many people as I can, you know, what's going on. And I do. I want that to inspire people because it's important to be healthy. Your whole quality of life hinges on that, really. So.
Yeah. Okay. So before we go, can you tell me how you make your mayonnaise? Did you say you made your own mayonnaise?
I do make my own mayonnaise. I take one egg and a quarter cup of oil, like a teaspoon of salt, and I do the Redmond salt, and then like I like to use a tablespoon of granulated garlic and put it in there, and then you kind of just make sure it's mixed, like hit the processor a couple times. I do it in a food processor, and then once you've done that, throw your vinegar in there. So I do apple cider vinegar for my acid. You can do lemon juice or, you know, anything like that, but I do like a couple of tablespoons. And then I start the processor, and then I drizzle in a cup of I use olive oil. Of course, you can use anything you want, but I use olive oil right now. And I just drizzle it in there until it gets to the right texture. You can kind of hear the blender change, you know, the sound changes whenever it starts thickening up and emulsifying, but it's really good. It's really, really good. And it keeps as long as your eggs. I think if you look at the due date on your egg box, that's how long you can keep it. So it's good stuff.
Wow. That's cool. I've heard people make baconaise, and that sounded interesting. And
I know. Yeah, I saw a lady on Instagram today that was making hers with butter. So I know.
That sounds good.
It does.
Well, thank you, Deidre, so much for coming and sharing your story with MeatRx and with our community. And I know I'll see you around somewhere on the community.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Tracy. I really appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I will.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.